On July 29, 2008, the lives of two game developers were taken. Melissa Batten, a software development engineer at Rare Limited, and Joseph Eugene Batten, a senior project manager at Wizards of the Coast. Their bodies were identified in broad daylight in Redmond, Washington, surrounded by witnesses. But how did these game developers meet such a publicly tragic fate? Joseph and Melissa were both born in early 1972. Joseph received a mathematics degree from Marshall University and found work at Microsoft Game Studios. Melissa, on the other hand, was a Harvard Law graduate who worked as a public defender in North Carolina before moving to Washington State in 2002. Melissa met Joseph in Washington. The two eventually got married, while Melissa switched career paths and also began working for Microsoft, where she received credits for Halo 3 and Gears of War. Melissa also began to work closely with Rare Limited, who Microsoft had recently purchased from Nintendo. I came to my interest in gaming relatively late in the game, so to speak, when my husband turned me on to gaming. Of course, at the time he introduced me to gaming, I was not into technology and in fact was a lawyer. My husband worked for Microsoft, so he was extremely supportive of me and helped me become somewhat technical by tutoring me. From what's publicly known, things were normal between the Washington couple for years. Within these years, the only noteworthy detail is that Joseph eventually left Microsoft and found employment at Wizards of the Coast, who produces Dungeons & Dragons, Magic the Gathering, and formerly the Pokemon trading card game. The relationship began showing cracks in June 2008. In their Kent apartment, Joseph confronted Melissa about an alleged affair she had. During the argument, Melissa stood up to get a sweater when Joseph pulled out a pistol from his back waistband and reportedly said, "Sit down, you aren't going anywhere." Joseph made it clear the gun was loaded and the safety was off, pointing it to his head and threatening his own life. After about an hour of arguing, Joseph put the gun away and tensions cooled. But this event forever changed Melissa. She moved from Kent to Redmond to stay with a friend in an attempt to sort out her life. During this time, Joseph continuously called and texted her, and even broke into her office at Microsoft before being kicked out by security. Melissa was able to obtain a protection order on July 21st, with the order being served to Joseph on the 25th. Joseph was legally not allowed within 100 yards of Melissa. Melissa also provided the King County District Court a thorough background of her situation in order to obtain the protection order, supplying a story to the public on what would have ended up being a mysterious tragedy. July 29th, Joseph tracked down Melissa while she was on her way to Microsoft. In the parking lot of the Archstone Redmond campus apartments, Joseph came out from behind a dumpster and shot Melissa 8 times and then took his own life. This all took place on what would have been a typical morning at 9:05 a.m. in front of many witnesses, including a grandmother walking with her grandchildren. We live in a crazy world that continues getting crazier, and unfortunately, it looks like these types of tragedies aren't slowing down. Stay safe out there, everyone, and as always, have a good one.